Thank you all for listening and watching my videos. Please subscribe and like my channel Master Coolitz. Hoping that you will not skip my ads, it's a big help for me by not skipping it. Thank you so much. Dragon Shadow. The Rise.
The tension in the air was palpable as Ruffin's eyes widened in shock.
What's this?
The human emperor's palm descended upon the formation with lightning speed. Like a balloon, the formation only resisted for a moment before exploding violently. A powerful airflow surged, sweeping toward Ruffin and his comrades.
Is it broken? This brat broke the formation. How is that possible?
Wait a minute. What on earth is this attack method? Block it. Everyone in the expert level, fight with me. No matter what, we must block his attack.
Ruffin screamed, joining the other expert level masters. Together, they launched a barrage of attacks at the human emperor's palm, which continued its relentless advance. The human emperor's palm showed no signs of slowing. It shattered their defenses with ease before crashing into the city gates. The impact sent terrifying winds and waves rolling, sand and stones flying. The city gates were obliterated, reduced to powder under the devastating force. High-ranking officers of the first and second stage of the expert level were caught in the explosion, their lives ending in an instant. Only Ruffin and a few others with greater strength survived, albeit severely injured. Silence fell over the battlefield. The soldiers of the Divine Hawk Camp were stunned, the oppressive aura of blood and death lingering in the air.
What heaven-defying attack was this?
Though Zane Martel did not directly attack them, his presence was overwhelmingly powerful. A single thought emerged in the minds of Gavin Owens and Samuel Blake.
Given Zane Martel's true strength, he could definitely be ranked on the Zora Genius list. Perhaps the Wormhaven Palace Messenger would also extend an invitation to him.
Listen up, the Flameclaw Cavalry. Follow me and charge forward. Kill all of them. Charge. Kill all of them.
War cries filled the air as Zane Martel's Flameclaw Cavalry, including Elora, surged forward. They crossed the ruins, their determination unshaken.
Everyone, follow behind. Go.
The mighty army broke through the city gates, finding little resistance. The enemy, reliant on the now broken formation, quickly fell under the relentless assault. Within a day, Samuel Blake left a team to clean up the aftermath while the rest pressed on. Their advance through the Leon continent was unstoppable, reclaiming territory from the pseudo-royal family troops. Zane Martel's Flameclaw Cavalry were particularly formidable. Their reputation spread, instilling fear in local bandits and armies who surrendered upon hearing their name. Half a month later, the troop arrived at the border of the Leon continent and Imperial City. The Demon God sect and the pseudo-royal family, realizing the gravity of the situation, deployed their most powerful forces. At the city gates, the two armies confronted each other, poised for a monumental battle. The tension was unbearable. Would Zane Martel and his forces overcome this unprecedented challenge? The outcome was uncertain, and the fate of the Leon continent hung in the balance. Even Orion Slade, Leonard Hunter, and many members of the pseudo-royal family hovered in the air, their presence looming over the battlefield.
How dare you, you traitor? How dare you initiate a war so boldly? We've tolerated you so many times. Do you not care about the Demon God sect and the royal family's power?
Orion Slade scanned the area, his eyes searching. Not seeing Gabriel Stone, he exhaled a sigh of relief, and his aura intensified.
Orion Slade, the power belongs to the three-tailed spirit fox. Your demon god sect colluded with the golden-winged rock and wreaked havoc on the world. Today, we're restoring order. Surrender now, or we'll settle this with battle.
Liam Brooks stepped forward, his voice echoing. His army had joined forces with Samuel Blake's a few days prior, significantly boosting their strength. From a single spark, they had grown into blazing flames that even the likes of Orion Slade couldn't ignore.
Bastard! The Wormhaven Palace Messenger will arrive shortly to invite Mr. Jin Peng and Mr. Leonard Hunter. Once they become dragon envoys of Wormhaven, none of you will get away with this. You will all die.
Everyone's mood sank at these words. The fear of Leonard Hunter and Jin Peng becoming dragon envoys of Wormhaven loomed large. No force in the Mystic Territory would dare challenge the dragon envoys of Wormhaven. The previous royal family had to conquer the Imperial City swiftly to avoid a prolonged war. Unfortunately, Tannix Martell and Logan Stone's troops were blocked by the enemy. Unable to provide backup, their absence was keenly felt.
Humph. Why waste time talking? Hit the war drums. We are charging forward. Kill them. Charge.
The exhilarating sound of war drums pierced through the air, stirring the troops to action. Hundreds of thousands surged forward, ready for battle. The Demon God sect and the pseudo-royal family responded in kind, their troops charging to meet the onslaught. Generals on both sides were filled with fighting spirit, determined to kill each other. But before the armies could collide, dark clouds gathered in the sky, swirling ominously. A vortex formed among the black clouds, releasing a terrifying energy. A buzzing sound filled the air as a giant golden token fell from the sky, its momentum powerful and irresistible. The token landed between the two armies, sinking deep into the ground. The earth shook violently.
What is that? A token? A giant token? Who owns such a token?
Both sides slowed, confusion evident. Even Samuel Blake sensed something was amiss. Upon seeing the token, Orion Slade and the elder from the pseudo-royal family exchanged looks of shock, quickly turning to joy. Atop the token stood a young man, barely in his 20s, wearing a light blue robe that fluttered in the wind. His aura rivaled, even surpassed, that of Orion Slade. Who was this mysterious figure, and what power did he wield? The battlefield stood on edge, the next moments poised to change everything. Would the tide of battle shift with this new arrival, or was something even more ominous at play? The atmosphere was electric, charged with anticipation. Orion Slade from the Demon God sect stepped forward, his voice booming.
I am Orion Slade from the Demon God sect. On behalf of everyone here representing the Demon God sect, I welcome the messenger to join us.
Beside him, the Imperial Master of the Northern Demon Country, Leonard Hunter, echoed his sentiment.
I am the Imperial Master of the Northern Demon Country, and I represent the royal family members to greet the messenger.
The voices of Orion Slade and Leonard Hunter rang out clear and loud. The pseudo-royal family members and everyone around them suddenly stopped, cupped their hands, and saluted the young man standing before them. Excitement buzzed through the crowd. He had come. The messenger of the Wormhaven Dragon Palace had finally appeared. The anticipation had built to a fever pitch, and now the moment was here. The previous royal family members, who had overstayed their welcome, were about to meet their doom. The presence of the young man shifted the dynamics completely. The messenger's arrival was a game changer. Gavin Owens and his followers' faces paled in shock. The most dreaded possibility had come to pass. Almost everyone stopped what they were doing and saluted the young man, their fists cupped respectfully. The soldiers of the Divine Hawk camp looked utterly dejected, their faces twisted in a mix of disgust and despair, as if they had swallowed something foul. The messenger, with his sharp features and dignified aura, stood like an unassailable fortress. His expression was impassive, as if the scene before him barely warranted his attention. To him, the Zora Mountains were as insignificant as a sesame seed on the vast map of Mystic Territory, and the Northern Demon Country even less so.
All right, I don't care who you represent. I'll cut to the chase since I still have other affairs to attend to. I am the messenger from the Wormhaven Dragon Palace. Leonard Hunter and Ethan Reed, step out.
His voice, though neither cold nor indifferent, held a tone that brooked no argument. Leonard Hunter and Ethan Reed trembled, their excitement barely contained. They had been chosen. The two men hovered before the messenger, cupping their hands and bowing deeply.
Are you Leonard Hunter and Ethan Reed?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Ethan Reed, a member of the pseudo-royal family and the Golden Winged Rock, was also the crown prince conferred by the pseudo-royal family. Gifted, he had reached the third stage of the expert level. Although not as powerful as Leonard Hunter, his skills were formidable, earning him a place on the Zora Genius list.
Forget it. I don't think you'd dare pretend to be them either. Take these invitations and go to the Star Kingdom to participate in the preliminary for the Dragon Envoy of Wormhaven. Remember to go there on time. Do you understand?
The messenger tossed 2 fiery red invitation letters to them. They caught them with reverence, as if holding priceless treasures. The messenger's voice rang out again, louder this time.
During the screening for the Dragon Envoy of Wormhaven, all kingdoms in the 72 countries of Zora can't be engaged in a war. You should call it a day now.
This was a tradition in the 72 countries of Zora. Every 5 years, when the screening for the Dragon Envoy of Wormhaven was held, all conflicts had to cease, no matter the scale. This rule was to ensure that contestants were not distracted by ongoing wars, which could affect their performance. The war would only resume once the screening was over. Gavin Owens and his allies looked crestfallen. Victory had been within their grasp, but now an unforeseen force had halted their progress. Dissatisfaction simmered, but none dared defy the Wormhaven Dragon Palace. The messenger was about to leave when Gavin Owens, driven by a desperate resolve, called out,
"Please wait for a moment."
The young messenger's expression turned cold, a flicker of displeasure crossing his face.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Gavin Owens' voice trembled slightly, but he pressed on.
Honorable Messenger, the participants of the Dragon Envoy of Wormhaven screening are geniuses among geniuses. May I ask why Zane Martell has not received an invitation?
Samuel Blake, standing nearby, added his voice to the plea.
I agree.
The young messenger frowned, clearly annoyed by the interruption.
And who is this Zane Martell? What makes him worthy of an invitation?
The crowd held its breath, tension crackling in the air as they awaited the messenger's verdict. The fate of Zane Martell, and possibly the balance of power, hung in the balance. What would the messenger decide? Would Zane Martell be granted a chance, or would he be overlooked? The stakes were higher than ever, and the next few moments would determine the path forward. The air was thick with tension as the messenger's question hung in the silence.
Who is Zane Martell?
Zane Martell's expression shifted, determination flashing in his eyes. He stepped forward with resolve.
In response to the messenger, I am Zane Martell.
Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. Everyone was stunned, curiosity sparking in their eyes. To Samuel Blake, Gavin Owens, Alora, and their soldiers, Zane Martell was undoubtedly the most talented individual they knew. Every time the Dragon Envoy of Wormhaven screening began, messengers from the Wormhaven Dragon Palace would scout the Genhai region, searching for exceptional talents. It was no surprise they had noticed Leonard Hunter and Ethan Reed, but the fact that Zane Martell had been overlooked was shocking to everyone. The young messenger scrutinized Zane Martell, his eyes narrowing with disdain.
He's only at the first stage of the expert level. He's useless no matter how powerful you think he is. Do you think the preliminary for the Dragon Envoy of Wormhaven is a trash can that will recruit just anyone? Let me ask you, what's your ranking on the Zora Genius list?
Zane Martell hesitated, caught off guard by the question.
I didn't make it to the Zora Genius list.
His honesty hung in the air, the crowd holding their breath. The messenger's expression turned icy, and a frightening vital energy fluctuation emanated from his body. His aura was as deep as the sea, as unfathomable as the abyss, the peak of the semi-martial king level. Everyone's hearts clenched in fear. How could such a young messenger be at the peak of the semi-martial king level? His talent and strength were terrifying.
Are you provoking me? Or are you looking down on the Wormhaven Dragon Palace's screening process for the Dragon Envoy of Wormhaven?
The messenger's killing intent was palpable, enveloping the hundreds of thousands present. It felt like a sharp knife was pressed against their throats, ready to cut at any moment. Zane Martell stood firm, but even he was taken aback by the messenger's power.
Dear messenger, even if we had 1,000,000 times the courage, we would not dare ignore the Wormhaven Dragon Palace, but...
Samuel Blake and the others spoke quickly, fear evident in their voices. They knew the Wormhaven Dragon Palace's power all too well. Even a single Dragon Envoy of Wormhaven could annihilate them.
We spoke up because we pity Zane Martell and the Northern Demon Country for missing out on such an opportunity.
The truth was that Zane Martell, despite his incredible talent, had only recently broken through to the expert level. Less than 2 months ago, he had established his reputation, But it wasn't enough to catch the Wormhaven Dragon Palace's attention. Yet here he was, facing a messenger whose power was overwhelming.
If someone had to step forward to challenge Leonard Hunter and Ethan Reed, it must be Zane Martell. But he hasn't received an invitation. This is unbelievable.
The crowd could barely believe it. Zane Martell had shown remarkable talent, yet he was ignored. The messenger's disdain was a bitter pill to swallow.
He's not on the Zora Genius list, and he's only at the first stage of the expert level. What use is he?
The messenger's voice dripped with contempt, his gaze sweeping over the crowd, daring anyone to challenge his judgment. The atmosphere was charged, every breath held in anticipation. The stakes were higher than ever. Would Zane Martell be given a chance, or would he remain in the shadows, his potential overlooked? As the tension reached its peak, the messenger's decision would determine everything. The crowd waited with bated breath, the weight of the moment pressing down on them. What would happen next? Would Zane Martell seize his destiny, or would he fade into obscurity? The answers hung in the balance, and the next word spoken could change everything. The fate of the Northern Demon Country and Zane Martell's future lay on a knife's edge, waiting for the messenger's final verdict.